Which double standard irritates you the most? You get in before everyone else. No one notices and doesn't care. But heaven forbid you also leave before everyone else. And you are lazy. Nope. I worked the same amount, likely more hours than you did. Just because you weren't here to see it, doesn't mean I wasn't here. Deleted. If I'm working a night shift, sometimes I'll want a beer or a glass of wine to relax afterwards and before I go to bed. Sometimes that happens to be at 8 a.m. My God, the complaints I get. People seem to think that it would be much better for me to wake up at 6 p.m. and have a glass of wine for what is effectively my breakfast at that point. Great plan. There are the third shift paradox, where you're expected to be on everyone else's time. When I worked night shift I would do the same. Get home, relax and then sleep. This didn't stop people from calling me around noon. No, that's the middle of my night. This is when I sleep. Most people understood when I told them. One of my friends didn't. So I called him one night at 3 a.m. during my break to make plans for the weekend. He understood then. I have to pass yearly workplace harassment sensitivity training and they make a big deal about age discrimination. Here's the kicker. Age discrimination only applies to old people, not young. For instance, I could get in serious trouble, fired for calling someone a dinosaur, but yet every week people tell me I should grow a beard so I look old enough to work. A lack of changing tables in the men's room. Guys can change diapers too. Damn it. We aren't all living in a 90s sitcom. Removed. Only ever work at 60% of your maximum output. Then when you need to work at 80% of your maximum output, you'll be viewed as amazing. Never give 100%. And any talk of giving 110% is just poor arithmetic. Note, I'm on Reddit at work right now. Keeping strong at 60%. Random women grabbed my ass so many times when I worked as a bouncer in bars. Sigh. If I want to resign, I'm expected to give 2 weeks notice. If I get laid off, it's effective immediately. No notice whatsoever. It's not gender specific, but it's common to see on dating profiles that the person requires that their partner be fit, athletic, slim, etc., while said person themselves look like the Michelin Man. You should not demand your partner kill themselves at the gym on the daily while you get to be a blob. Overselling yourself for a job is dishonest, but underselling the duties of a job in the job description to either draw in more applicants or justify underpaying for the job is totally fine and normal. I've been chewed out for listing my 3.496 GPA as a 3.5, and I've also been chewed out for not being able to move an 80-pound box alone when the job application papers said must be able to lift 30 pounds. I'm pretty sure I just hate the working world. Abuse in a relationship. A couple weeks ago my now ex punched me in the face at a crowded bar and it was just a spectacle. If I male had been the one throwing punches, it would have been a different story. People can be awful at times. When you are applying to jobs you have to jump through so many weird and invisible hoops. Be timely, professional, always polite and never negative. It's like being a human chameleon for whatever job you happen to be applying for, but then the people hiring are disrespectful to your time and energy and it's no problem no responding to emails after they contact you to set up an interview, telling you they'll let you know in a week and then never letting you know, etc. You just have to put up with it or risk automatically not being hired. In your 20s, you're an adult to kids, but a kid to adults. I play video games in shifts longer than 4 hours at a time and I'm lazy. Someone watches the entire Stranger Things series in one day and no one bats an eye. Removed. When watching kids, men are babysitting, women are parenting. On the other end, if a woman takes a child out with mismatched clothes and hair undone, they are a bad parent. If a man does that it is cute and at least they are trying. From when I was a kid, if I left my toys out and one of my parents stepped on them I got yelled at for not putting my toys away. But if my dad left his tools out and I stepped on one I got told to watch where I was stepping. No paternity leave. Like seriously, I can't stay at home with the kid too. Nobody will see this. but I can't stand how single soldiers in the army get pulled for all the shitty details and how their rooms are inspected weekly. But I, as a married soldier, NCO, never got tasked out and I've never had anyone inspect my house. And the military wonders why PVTs get married right after 8, and then divorced 6 months later. It's easier to bring drugs into most music venues than clean water. I understand the notion behind making guests dump their bottles, but it really drives me crazy how backwards security can be at a show. From a few female workers at my last job: "This box is heavy. Get one of the boys to do it. The box is 14 pounds of cat litter and your job description says that you need to be able to lift 40 pounds, unassisted. If I show up 5 minutes late to a doctor's appointment, I have my appointment cancelled and can be charged for it. Financially, not criminally. Yet I can be on time and wait 45 minutes to an hour to see the doctor without receiving so much as an apology. I have gone to appointments at the VA, before I could afford insurance, and had them cancelled after waiting 30 minutes because the doctor didn't show. Screw the whole of US healthcare. Women can have sex toys and it is fun and sexy. Men have sex toys and they are losers. It's viewed as a good thing if someone goes to bed early and get out of bed early, but if you go to bed late and therefore also wakes up later, you are a lazy bastard. But in the end, they sleep the same amount of time, and it's always the early bird that makes comments and act like they're Jesus because they got out of bed earlier. Double stuff Oreos. I feel they could be more stuffed. Old person. This generation is offended by everything. Young person. Happy holidays. Old person. I am offended. Getting drunk at the bar and acting like idiots with your buds is fine. Playing video games with your buds is immature and childish. The way women can still be treated differently. When my husband and I withdrew our 401k money to buy a house, I was asked to have him sign and notarize documents showing that he agreed. He didn't have to do the same about me. Just last week we called a company to get new windows for the house and left a message to call back. Didn't know they called and my husband got an appointment. I called again to request one and was asked to have my husband present since he needed to sign on any work. Yes, he's a co-owner, but he wasn't told the same about me. As a husband, I've seen this. I've also seen lots of places not respect my wife on the phone, but when I get on the phone they bend over backwards. It's pretty crazy. It's reversed with kids though. Until my daughter was 3, every medical decision needed to be signed off on by the wife. I also needed her signature to get a vasectomy. Weird. All of it. Manager. You need to be a team player and help your team out. Sits in her office all day not doing jack shit. Deleted. Why I can't wear shorts to work, when some women come in wearing skirts that might as well be a headband around their waist. Mental health is important for us all to talk about and understand. You're depressed. Other people have it worse than you. You just need to cheer up. If you think like that, let me explain to you what depression feels like. It's like being homesick for a place you don't know, a place you can't describe, while simultaneously wanting to not be lonely, but you also don't want to be around people. You are so goddamn tired from feeling like there's a gaping hole through the middle of you, a hole that can't be filled, a hole that goes all the way through you. You lay there at night staring at the ceiling thinking about how worthless you are, how much you miss having a passion for anything, how difficult it is just to get up and do normal things like shower and feed yourself. You want a hug, but you're so gross from neglecting yourself that you couldn't possibly bear the thought of someone seeing you like that. When you do finally get up to sit in a chair, you just sit there for hours, hoping to Christ that maybe someone will text you because no one has heard from you for a while, but you just don't have the energy to actually respond if they do. When someone asks how you are, you just say you're fine because you wear the mask of someone that can function. But you think that if you told someone how you really feel, they'd run far from the weirdo that can't function like a normal person. If you suffer from depression, please tell someone. Don't suffer in silence. Talking about it makes it so much easier to deal with. Depression is a real mental health issue. The more we can talk about it, the less stigma there will be around it. One day we can actually cure it, but for now all I ask is to love yourselves, and if you know someone with depression, love them too, because they desperately need at least one person to actually care and to treat them like a person and not a diagnosis. People, strangers, can come up and say how skinny I am right to my face. If I said how fat someone was, I'd be a bitch. Same. I finally couldn't take it, and one day a woman I didn't know actually grabbed my admittedly tiny wrist to prove she could get her thumb and pointer finger around it whilst remarking, "God, you're so thin," to which I replied, "And you're so not." She looked very hurt, because she most certainly wasn't thin, but I doubled down and said, "It doesn't feel good when someone makes a loud remark about how you look, does it?" I don't know if I made my point, and I never saw her again, but yeah, 20 plus years of that being one of the first things out of a stranger's mouth wears you down. Men are not supposed to talk about their emotions. Just deal with them quietly. There's a reason why the suicide rate for men is 5 times higher. You can decide to have sex, get pregnant, and have a baby at 16. People may judge, but in the end it's okay. But if that same 16-year-old says she never wants kids, she's told she's too young to make that decision. Friend of mine had her first at 19, second at 22. 2 weeks before her 23rd birthday, her and her husband decided 2 was enough. Her doctor wouldn't even discuss sterilization because she wouldn't be 23 at the time of her C-section, therefore much too young to decide not to have more children, so husband made an appointment. Nope. At 24, he's much too young for such a permanent decision, but both were old enough, mature enough to decide to marry and have 2 kids, just not to decide to stop having kids. This makes me so angry. I'm 26 and I've been trying to get sterilized for a few years now. I've had ovarian and cervical cancer and extensive endometriosis. I'm also type 1 diabetic and have other health issues. I asked them to sterilize me when they did the surgery to remove the endo and the ovarian tumor, and they outright refused. You might want kids in the future. No, I do not. If cancer doesn't come back and kill me, pregnancy surely will, and any children would inherit my health issues. I also do not want children. Apparently medical decisions about your own body become null when you still have the potential to be a human incubator. Man offers to split the bill, he's a cheapskate. Woman offers to split the bill, she's independent. Double-edged swords receive only praise for having more than the perfunctory amount of edges, and get no mention at all of potential drawbacks. My wife thinks it's perfectly acceptable to call a man a dick if he's being one. She thinks it's unacceptable to call a woman a if she's being one. Well, then call her a dick. Everyone I work with who has kids gets tons of bonus time off just for mentioning that the kids are involved. I get exactly what was supposed to be entitled to. Deleted. When an attractive person gets away with doing stuff but other, normal people would get judged, in trouble for doing the same. I have a friend who is super pretty and she always gets what she wants just by batting her eyelashes because she looks great. Kinda makes me feel like crap. Women can wear dresses and open-toe shoes to the office on hot summer days. Men still have to wear long pants, shirts and dress shoes. I forget what it's for, but a commercial has been running where a soccer player gets locked out of his hotel room while in his underwear. A maid comes along, snaps a photo, and then unlocks his room. She posts the photo to social media. Hundreds of women ogle it and pass it along. Ends up on the news, etc. It's supposed to be sexy and funny. I'm a guy and I found the whole thing offensive. If it were a half-naked woman in this scenario instead of a guy, this would be the opening scene for a Lifetime movie about sexual harassment. If you want men to have more respect for women's personal boundaries and such, you should extend that same level of respect to men as well.